I made a career switch from software development to product management about 20 years ago. And now, after 2 decades, there are a number of things I wish I'd known back then that would have made that transition so much easier. So let's count down my top 5. Here we go. Starting with number 5. Your time is not your own. Before my move into product management, I had no idea so many meetings, quick questions, instant messages, texts, emails, and phone calls even existed in the world. As a developer, I had the luxury of having very few of those things. As a PM, I found I had to very quickly get used to being interrupted all the time. Any PM who's been doing this a while will be all too familiar with the phrase, "Hey, quick question." They will be constantly pinged on Slack or Teams, or they will live with people just hovering and looming over them at their desk waiting to be acknowledged. For me, it made it almost impossible to make meaningful progress on some days and challenged me on my time management skills. And once I got better at that, I was still context switching. A lot. Number 4, the need to influence. With the gift of hindsight, I should have known that I was going to need to be able to influence almost every part of the business in one way or another. But having come from a development background, I was used to having a much smaller circle of influence. I had never needed to influence marketing or sales or the CEO or customer success, professional services, or support before that time. To me, this is a do or die skill for a product professional. I found very quickly in my own experience that the only way I could be successful was to get help. Product management is a team sport, and many of the players are in other departments. I had a mentor who once coached me by saying, "The whole company works for you, Russ. Take it for a test drive." Those were instrumental words in my development as a product professional, and I use them today when I'm coaching other people as well. On to number 3. Your company will usually underfund product management. Now, at first, this one came as a surprise to me, but it became the new normal as my career progressed. The product function will generally be massively underfunded. There have been several studies and surveys conducted that suggest that the industry average should be somewhere around 7 to 10 developers per product manager. I don't particularly like that method of scaling, but it does give some idea how far out of whack some companies really are. When I started in product management, I was the lone product manager for a group of 40 developers and a total engineering population of over 60. I should note that we eventually moved this to a place where it was closer to 1 to 10, but that process took years. While 1 to 40 is the worst ratio that I've seen, I've worked for and contracted for a number of other companies where 20 to 25 developers per product manager was the in thing. The number itself, however, isn't as important as what happens in practice to the product manager's time. For me, it translated into a complete inability to do any kind of market research. All of my time was in the tactics of constructing software. And you can look for symptoms in your own company. Is your roadmap business-driven or is it customer-driven? Do you have time to analyze market signals? Are you spending all of your time writing acceptance criteria and answering questions from engineering? Let me know in the comments down below. I particularly want to know whether you feel your product team is correctly sized and staffed. Those answers will shine a flashlight on whether you're properly funded or not. Moving on to number 2. You don't get to build what you want. I guess when I first got into product management, I figured that since I would own the roadmap, I'd be the one who was deciding what got built. I know, I was naive. But a lot of people get into product management because they believe they know what's best for the product. They have tons of ideas that they would like to see implemented. And the person who owns the roadmap gets to decide what gets built. Right? Nope. First, you don't even own the roadmap. You just take care of it. The business owns the roadmap, and there are many stakeholders within the company who will, rightly, challenge what's in there. Over time, you will build a reputation and credibility, and people will trust your homework and instincts more. But the executive team will always continue to have veto power. Second, and probably more importantly, is that you will develop a certain humility as you come to work with customers, analysts, and the markets at large. You'll become aware of the fact that what you thought the product needed wasn't necessarily the same or didn't have the same priority as what your users and buyers require. This, however, turns out to be a good thing, and it leads us into the number one thing I wish I'd known when I was becoming a product manager was there are very few small wins. In fact, those quick wins were going to almost entirely disappear. As a developer, I would complete a feature or capability, or I'd finally track down that persistent or frustratingly elusive bug, and I would feel like I'd accomplished something. It wasn't world changing, but it felt good to have my efforts amount to something that was very tangible. I needed to completely change my mindset when I got into product management because those quick wins, they just didn't really exist. The reason for that, of course, is that the day-to-day product management activities are about enabling other parts of your organization to run effectively. This means that it is difficult to point to things that you yourself built and say, hey, I did that. Unless, I guess, you happen to really love producing spreadsheets and PowerPoints, I suppose. However, the big wins in product management are big. Launching a product into the market that people love to use and they buy without friction is a massive team undertaking by your entire company, and it's hard. But more than that, it simply wouldn't happen without product management steering the ship. And that's it for my top 5 things I wish I'd known before starting in product management. For the experienced PMs out there, what are yours? Or if you're thinking about jumping into product management, what do you think of these? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.